About 90% of the businesses fail, but it's not because they have a bad product, and it's not because they don't work hard enough. They fail because they are trying to build a skyscraper on the sand instead of solid rock. And no matter how beautiful building is, eventually it's going to collapse. I have personally generated over 10 millions in sales and closed 5, 6, and even 7-figure deals, but it was not always like this. I went through absolute hell in the beginning, and I was even fired from my first sales job. My manager called me on his office and said, "You better find a different job, sales is not for you." I was tired, I couldn't eat, I was barely sleeping, and I was taking the bus across the city every morning because I couldn't afford a taxi while knocking on the random doors and getting rejected over and over. I thought the problem was me, I wasn't cut out for sales, but I was completely wrong about that. The problem was I was knocking on the random doors without understanding who actually needed what I was selling. And right now you're probably making the same mistake without even realizing it. So you wake up every morning with this weight on your chest, wondering if this month is going to be the month where everything finally clicks, or if this is going to be another month where you are scrambling to cover expenses while your family wonders why you are working all these hours but the money doesn't reflect it. Your revenue feels like a roller coaster, but you have no control over, because one month you are up, feeling good, then the next month you are down and panicking, and you can't figure out why, because you are doing the same things you always have done. So what I'm about to show you is the 1 week of work that separates businesses that scale predictably from businesses that eventually die. And once you see it, everything will change for you. Now, when researchers analyzed business failures, roughly 30 and 40% blamed no market need, which means they built something nobody wanted because they skipped market research. So one of my clients came to me excited about a new niche, said, "This is huge, I just need to get started." So I asked him if he did a market research, and he said, "I thought about it, it seems very promising." We spent 1 week doing proper research, and what we found shocked him, because the niche he wanted was completely dead, with a declining market, low willingness to pay, and oversaturated with competitors. So he would have wasted at least a year and tens of thousands of dollars before realizing what was happening. But during the same week also discovered specific markets with the huge demand and almost no supply. So within 90 days went from making 10K a month to 60K a month, because he was suddenly targeting the right people with the right message, and 1 week researchers completely saved his business before even started. And this is exactly why market research is the foundation of everything that follows. Because without it, you are building your entire business on assumptions instead of reality. So 12,000 years ago, when farmers first started competing in the markets, one farmer figured out 3 questions that changed everything. Who specifically needs this? What makes mine different? And how do I prove it? Those 3 questions built the foundation of the market research today, and positioning is the 90% of the businesses today still can't answer them. So here's what happens when you try to scale without the foundation in place. And I see this pattern destroy businesses every single week. You start doing outreach, cold calling, and content creation, but you are targeting everyone instead of someone specific. So your message is generic and doesn't resonate with anyone deep enough to make them actually take the action. So you are working twice as hard as your competitors, but getting half the results because you haven't done the work to understand who actually needs what you sell and why they should choose you over the alternatives. Now your sales conversations feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill because you can't clearly articulate what makes you different. So prospects default to comparing you on price, or they just go with whoever they already know. So you close some deals here and there, mostly through referrals or luck, but you can't predict your revenue, and you definitely can't scale it because there is no system, there is just random activity that sometimes works. And this is exactly what was happening to me when I got fired, because I was doing all the activities that seemed right, but without the foundation of knowing who needed what I sold and why they should care. I was grinding harder than everyone else in the office, but results were terrible, because effort without direction is just exhaustion. So the foundation of market research and positioning is what allows everything else to work, because once you know exactly who needs what you sell and what makes you different and how to prove it, then suddenly your outreach messages get responses, your sales calls convert at higher rates, your pricing holds because people understand your value, and your referrals multiply because you are known for solving a specific problem for a specific type of person. Now, most business owners try to scale without this foundation in place, and that's why their growth feels so unpredictable and exhausting. So you're putting in the hours with late nights and early mornings and weekend sacrifice while doing all these tactics everyone tells you to do, but it feels like pushing the boulder uphill, where the moment you stop pushing, everything rolls back down to the where you started. Now, here's what's the crazy part. The average business owner spends 60 hours a week working, but only 15 to 20% of that time actually talking to their ideal clients. Think about that for a second. You're working 60 hours, but maybe 10 of those hours are spent understanding who actually needs what you sell. But the real pain is not just the work, but it's the uncertainty that eats at you every single day, where you lie awake at night doing the math in your head about whether you can cover everything. You avoid looking at your bank account because you know it's going to stress you out. And you tell people things that are going well when they're actually not. So here's what's actually happening underneath all of this. You are trying to build the systems and scale your sales before you understand your market and positioning, which is exactly like building a house on the sand, whereas it doesn't matter how good your construction is because the foundation is missing and eventually everything crumbles. And without clear market research, you can't build a sales process and scale business because you don't know how to target, what message resonates, and what objections to expect, or what kind of proof really matters. So without clear positioning, you can't differentiate yourself in a crowded market. So you end up competing on a price and availability instead of value and expertise. So be honest with yourself right now about whether you can answer those three questions clearly or not. Like, who specifically needs what you sell? And I don't mean who could potentially buy, but who wakes up in the problem you solve and would pay you good money to make it go away right now. What makes you different, and I don't mean generic claims like better quality or good service that everyone says, but a specific approach or method you can explain in concrete terms that someone could actually understand and verify for themselves. And how would you prove it with the real evidence, like case studies, results, or guarantees that would make a skeptical buyer believe you instead of thinking you're just another person making promises you probably can't keep? So if you're not completely clear on those answers right now, that's your foundation problem, and that's why sales and scaling feels so hard right now. Now, if you want my complete step-by-step framework for building the foundations and scaling your business to 6 figures a month, I prepared the full training and the link in the description below. But let me show you what that 1 week looks like. And I mean this literally because you can't do this in 7 days if you actually commit to it. Now, day 1 and 2 are about defining your real market, which means not the fantasy where you say this is a massive industry and I just need a tiny piece, but your actual serviceable market of people who you can realistically serve right now with a specific problems you are uniquely positioned to solve. Then day 3 and 4 are about studying your competition by listing the top 5 to 10 competitors. And here's the part everyone misses. You need to read their 1-star reviews and search for complaints on Google, Reddit to find the patterns in what is not working for them. So these complaints show you exactly where you can position yourself as a better choice in ways that people actually care about instead of ways that just think that doesn't matter. Now, day 5 and 6 are about talking to 20 people in your market without trying to sell them anything, just asking questions about their biggest challenges and what they have tried before and why it didn't work. So you will start seeing patterns where maybe 15 out of the 20 mentions the same problem that nobody in your industry is properly addressing. And that pattern becomes your exact positioning angle. Then day 7 is about building your position by answering those 3 questions with the real specific instead of generic claims that sound like everyone else in your market. This 1 week of foundation work is something that allows you to scale faster because now your outreach is targeted, your messages resonate, and your sales process address the real objections, and your positioning makes you obvious choice for a specific type of buyer. And over the past several years, I trained over 500 sales teams and helped more than 1,000 companies grow their revenue, and the ones who did this foundational work, this was first ones that actually scaled predictably, while everyone else stayed stuck wondering why these tactics are not working. Now, most business owners won't do this even after hearing everything I just said, because they will say, I don't have time right now, I need to focus on getting clients, maybe I will do this later when things calm down. But the truth is, you are saying like you're too busy driving to stop for a gas, which means eventually you run out of the fuel, you are stuck on the side of the road, wishing you would just stop when you had the chance. So years ago, I was working at KFC in Baku, everything was systemized, where if you made the burgers, you only made burgers, and you prepared salad only if you did that. And we had the huge lines, but still delivered consistently with the high quality every time. And those systems only work because someone had figured out this market research, positioning, the case earlier by knowing exactly what customers wanted and building everything around that clarity. So you can't systemize randomness, you can only systemize clarity. That's why the foundation of market research and positioning comes before everything else in building scalable systems. Now skip this 1 week of foundational work and you will spend the next year grinding with the nothing to show for except exhaustion and bank account that doesn't reflect all the hours you're putting in. So you will try every tactic and strategy to hear about, but nothing will work consistently because you are building on sand instead of the rock. But do this 1 week properly and everything will become possible. Like your outreach will start working because you are targeting the right people with the right message, and your sales converts because you can articulate exactly why someone should care, and your referrals will multiply because solving a specific problem for a specific type of person instead of just being generalist who does a little bit of everything. So let me leave you with this. Right now there are people out there who need exactly what you offer, like people who are struggling with the exact same problems you solve. So people who would pay you well to help them that if they knew about your existence and understand why you are different. But they can't find you because you haven't done the work to find them first, and even if you stumble across you, they can't choose you because you haven't given them a clear reason why you are the right choice. And that's what this 1 week of foundational work does. It connects you with the people who need you most and gives them a compelling reason to choose you over everyone else. So 12,000 years ago, one farmer figured out that success in the market is not about working harder than everyone else. It's about knowing exactly who you need, to what you sell, and who you sell, what makes you different, and how to prove it actually. Yeah, that same foundation is what separates businesses that scale from businesses that fail today. Now you're not just another business owner grinding randomly anymore. You have a choice right now to become someone who knows exactly who needs what you sell, what makes you different, and how you prove it. So the foundation is everything, because without it, nothing else works, but with it, everything becomes possible. By the way, if you want to see videos like these to grow your business, subscribe to my channel not to miss the next ones.